Well, welcome everyone. So excited to have over 70 of you guys joining us today. Megan Mershman, I am your 2024-2025 Ohio Kentucky chapter president, and I'm so excited to have you guys joining us today. We are getting all amped up and excited to do our second edition of our chapter-wide design awards. Many of you have joined us over the years at your city center and local design awards. And we were so excited 2 years ago to be able to do this for the first time at the chapter level. We were absolutely blown away that over 120 projects were submitted and almost 400 of you made the trip to Columbus to join us. And so we were really amped to get started and put together a really fantastic event for everybody for 2024. So I'll be turning this over to Michelle in just a moment, but we always love to use this launch party as an opportunity to get everybody informed and as up to date as possible on the submission process. We think it's really important that you all get a chance to hear from our jury and who they are and who's going to be reviewing your project. So while Michelle's speaking today, I will be manning the chat, and so I can probably answer some of questions just straight via chat, but we will have a Q&A opportunity too as well during the program to ask any questions you guys have. So absolutely feel free to engage via the chat in the process. So with that, I will turn it over to Michelle. Oh, shoot, I forgot. 2 details. Yes, commercials. One of the programs that we do each year is Enrich. It's our member enrichment fund. We have had the fund going for 3 years now. This will be our third opportunity. And we always announce our winners at our design awards. And so this is a great opportunity if you've always had that program you've wanted to do, that class you've wanted to take, that opportunity to really step up your skills in some capacity. You can fill out our application, send the form in, and we will review and see if it's an opportunity we can help you out with. So far we've supported people going through the Design Futures Council's programs. We've supported someone taking art classes at a local level. We've supported travel to national conferences. So the ideas can be big, they can be small, but this is a great opportunity for us to help our members in achieving something they want to do. And as always, we very, very much appreciate our cohort of benefactors who supports us on a yearly basis. We couldn't do the programming we do without you. We are so appreciative of the treasure and the time that many of you guys commit to our organization. And we are so happy to have you. Thank you. All right, and with that,
I'm Michelle Vonderbrink. Yeah. I'm Michelle Vonderbrink. I am our VP of Special Events. I work at Champlin Architecture in Cincinnati, and I've been involved in IIDA in some capacity for probably 13 or 14 years now. So I'm really excited to get to be involved in this event. I had a great time at the one 2 years ago, and super excited to kind of have our second edition of it. And this is the schedule of what we're going to go through today. So we're going to give you some kind of updates on some new things that we're doing this year. We will review the submission categories. We'll talk about a couple of additional categories for opportunities for winning. We'll look at the website just to show you guys how to submit your projects and everything like that. We'll review the key dates, our event sponsors, and then we'll introduce the jury, which I know is what everyone is here to and excited to get to meet them and see, why design matters to them and hear their backgrounds. And then we will wrap up. One thing that I will note is your attendance in this presentation today are good for an IDCEC credit. In order to get that, you have to scan the code that we give you at the end through the IDCEC app. So these two QR codes that you see right now, if you don't already have the app, use these to download the app so that when we have that QR code later on, you can scan it and get your credit. All right, so first up is what's new for 2024 at the Design Awards. So first off, we are super excited to host this Ohio Kentucky Chapter Awards in Cincinnati. We decided to, we had such a great time in Columbus, but we wanted to try to give some of our another city center a little bit of love and see. So we hope that you will all come travel and see us in Cincinnati. We have an awesome venue. It is a historical landmark here in Cincinnati, and we are very, very excited to have everyone come be a part of that. We also did hear feedback from the 2022 event, and we have incorporated some of the feedback that you all shared with us after that event. So some things like we've implemented a better promotion and PR schedule of not only the winning projects, but trying to figure out how we can get submitted projects out there and recognize more firms that contribute to our chapter. So that is one of the big takeaways that we heard from you all, and we're really excited to use your feedback to make this event even better. Another huge announcement would be that this time, in conjunction with our Design Awards program, we have the first Ohio Kentucky Interior Design Student Conference. So this conference will be hosted in Cincinnati as well, the Thursday before Design Awards, and then Friday during the day of. So then all of the students who are here for the conference can also attend Design Awards on that Friday night. We are very, very excited to be hosting this as a chapter. Tyler and the student relations team have put tons of work into the student conference, and the programming is awesome. We have people coming in from headquarters to partake in part of this. So it'll be a really, really exciting student conference. If anyone is interested in getting involved with the student conference, let us know. Also, we have a QR code here to sign up for the Design Awards Day of Volunteers. So if you're in Cincinnati, or even if you're not and you want to travel here earlier in the day and help us with day of setup, we are looking for volunteers. So please use that QR code to sign up, or feel free to reach out. My email is on the contact for the website and later in this presentation, so we can get you signed up for that. All right, so we do want to review the categories for projects. I will note that they have not changed since last time around. So the learn, work, live, heal, play, engage, emerge, and creative install. Creative install was called creative product last time. So slight name change, but nothing changed with the content of that award. So just quickly to kind of go through our work category, probably pretty self-explanatory: commercial office projects that are within, help corporate organizations foster innovation, productivity, any of your work environments, all that that can be applied to that category. Live would be our residential or commercial projects that encompass areas in which a person resides. So it could include single family dwellings, multi-unit dwellings, or any kind of long-term care lodging for elderly populations. Anything like that would fit into that category. Our heal category is projects that promote health and well-being, and consider, physical, mental, emotional effects on the building occupants. These spaces could include hospitals, places for physical rehabilitation, recovery centers, primary care facilities, anything along those lines. Play are projects that focus on hospitality, restaurants, and retail environments. Engage is our category that would have projects that contribute to cultural and community value through spaces such as arts, humanities, performing arts centers, places of worship, government, or civic purposes. So it's a big category there that has kind of a lot of different options in that. And then I think I missed learn so far. So learn is our K through 12 and higher education projects, public or private institutions. These spaces could include classrooms, outdoor learning environments, libraries within a school of some capacity, student commons, performing arts within those schools, housing, athletics, anything along those lines. And then our emerge category is for student work. So students can submit their thesis or other projects to that category. And then our creative install is, our creative install is, as we know that these projects don't happen just with design firms, we wanted to kind of have an opportunity for our product manufacturers, reps, to submit a project where they think that one of their products has been a really successful installation or, you know, contribution to a project. All right, so then other categories, we will have Member of the Year awards like we did 2 years ago. So Member of the Year and Student Member of the Year. New this year is going to be an Educator Member of the Year. So as you are thinking about who you might want to nominate for any of those awards, the Member of the Year nominations will open on September 1st and they will close on October 18th. And then from a project standpoint, we will be doing the People's Choice Award again. So we're really excited about that and being able to vote on that. But new for this year is going to be a Best of City Center. So after all of the jurying is done, we are gonna, the jury will go back through and kind of filter the projects by each city center where the firms were and select the top project that came out of each city center. So we're really excited about the addition of that award to this program. Okay, so all of the information that we have will be up to date, will be on our website. I am going to click over to the website here just to share and walk you guys through it real quick. Maybe, yes, okay. So when you come to our IIDA Ohio Kentucky page, if you go to events and then design awards, you will land on this page here. And then in the pink bar, we have our chapter awards for 2024. And here's where you will be able to find all of the information you need to submit a project, all of the links. You can see we have a student submissions link here for all students. So if you know of students who are interested, please encourage them to submit their projects and also be a part of the student conference. If you continue to scroll down, the first links that you see here are for the professional submissions and then our creative install submissions. And if you click on these, it'll bring you to a page where you can download the submission packet. So the call for entries will give you all of the information on what you need to submit, how to submit it. But here you'll be able to pay for your professional submissions and then basically check out your cart here, however many submissions you would like to pay for. And then if you click on this read more, after you read through the submission packet and you compile all of your images, the requirements are the same as last time around. So there is the format and you will upload everything in a single PDF and use the Judgify website that we used last time as well. So if you have any questions, let us know. You can reach out at any point in time if you need help with any of these processes. They are the same that we did in 2022. So hopefully it'll be a little bit easier this time around. And let me click back over to the presentation. All right. Important dates. So submissions are now open. And then the submissions window will close on September 20th. So get started on your submissions and you can pay for the submission on the website back there, you know, before you're ready to upload to Judgify. So if you want to get all of your submission payments and everything in order, you can do that first. But submissions will close on September 20th. Sponsorship also closes on September 20th. We do, I think the next slide talks about our sponsors, but we do have some additional opportunities available. And then ticket sales to the event will open on October 1st. And our award ceremony is Friday, November 15th in Cincinnati. Right. We could not have the event without our event sponsors. So these are all of our current event sponsors. We'd like to thank them for their contributions so far. There still are some sponsorship opportunities available. So if you are interested in sponsoring, please contact Catherine. She's our Director of Finance. Her email is here. You can also reach out in the chat or email me and I can get you connected if you are looking to get involved in this event. So the next thing we're going to do is introduce the jurors. I know everyone's really excited to get to learn about them and see why design matters to them and kind of understand their background a little bit more. So as we're going through this, Megan mentioned before, but feel free to post any questions in the chat and we can answer those as if she can answer them on the fly, or we'll kind of gather them all if they're for the jurors and can, answer them at the end of the presentation. If you have any other questions or anything that you think of, please feel free to reach out to me and I will.
All right, before we switch over, there's just a couple of questions in the chat that I will
Yep.
share with the larger group. So there was a question about where libraries go. So academic libraries would go in the learn category, and community and public libraries go in the civic category, which I believe is engage. Amanda was asking, is there a limit to how many projects you can submit in each category? And I believe the answer is you can submit as many as you would like in a category. We do not have a current limit per category. It does need to be a completed project. But we do have a look, and we have a look back to January 1st of 2021
Yes.
for completion dates. At this time, we do not have a kind of on the boards submission category. We had a question about student projects for students who graduate. If you are graduating in the spring of 2024, you can absolutely submit your capstone project in the student category. I believe the last time we did this, we did actually offer like an underclassman and a thesis level submission. And we ended up just kind of putting them all in together in one category. But yes, both underclassmen projects and capstones are acceptable, but they do need to be like, if you've graduated this year, it would be your 2024 capstone submission. And yes, Amanda, any project that's been completed since January 1st of 2021 would be eligible for submission. Let's see here, Elizabeth. How much will tickets cost if you're simply attending and not submitting? We do have several different ticket rates. We are still fleshing out a couple of details as we are looking into potentially doing some table sales as well. But there will be non-member and member rates. There's no tie between your project submission and your purchase ticket for the night of. It is just we categorize it as non-member and member tickets, and then we have student member and non-member ticket rates. And people outside the industry are absolutely able to attend. There were quite a few people in Columbus that had brought their spouses as a way of showing them and helping them understand and like what we're celebrating, what we do all day and what we do for a living and what our projects look like. We rarely have an opportunity to always share those with those people. So absolutely feel free to bring a +1 to see what we're all about. I think we've got all the questions at this point. So I'll capture, if there's questions for the jury, I'll collect those and we'll maybe try to ask each juror as they finish.
Awesome. All right, so without further ado, I will announce our jury. So we have Jackie McFarland, John Cantrell and Sarah Kuchar-Parkinson. And we're going to go through each of them, and they're going to give a presentation so you can learn a little bit more about each one at a time. And we will jump in with Jackie. So Jackie McFarland is an award-winning designer with more than 4 decades in the design industry. Jackie's career has spanned a number of realms, including academia, corporate, and residential design, and sole proprietor of a successful practice. She now serves as a principal with Stantec Architecture and has worked on many notable Calgary projects, including the iconic BMO Center, the ATCO Commercial Commons, revitalization of office buildings in the downtown core, and several post-secondary institutional projects. Jackie is recognized for her design excellence with honors from AWMAC, so Architectural Woodworks Association of Canada, Alberta Masonry, and the Interior Designers of Alberta. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you so much for taking time to share with us. Jackie is fresh off of a plane, so I said we lost a juror in 2022 because of a plane, and I thought it was going to happen again. So not lost. They just didn't make it to the, wow, that was a really bad description. They didn't make it to the presentation because they were stuck on a plane, and I was very afraid it was going to happen again, but we are so happy to have you here.
We did.
We'll turn it on over to you.
All right. Can you hear me all right? Is that
Yep.
okay? Good. Oh, I do want to start off with a moment of gratitude. First of all, Pamela Evans is on this call. She's the one who really got me into this, and I so appreciate it. Pam and I go way back through our common organization of IDEC, Interior Design Educators Council. So thank you, Pamela, to introduce me to IIDA. And honestly, my first working with this group has been fantastic. I'm so impressed with the organizing committee and the executive and my fellow judges. So far, it's been fun, and I'm just so impressed with how well organized it's been. And then finally, to all of the potential candidates on this call, congratulations. You know, I do know that putting together an award package is a lot of work, but really encourage it because the end results are so important for increasing what we do in terms of our industry, from learning from one another. So again, I just want to say thank you for that. We can go to the next slide, Michelle. Yes, the Green Star is where I live. I was there 4 hours ago. And if you look to the west where it says Vancouver, I'm actually on the island right next to that. So 4 hours ago, I was back home, had an hour delay in my flight. Ashley was so great about saying, it'll all work out, it'll be fine. The blue star just slightly to the north is Edmonton. That's actually where I was born. So you get a sort of a relationship of where I am to Ohio and Kentucky, definitely in a different realm altogether. I went to school at the Blue Star. It's Winnipeg, the University of Manitoba, and it was one of the first and only interior design programs that offered a degree. So that's why I went there. So there's a glimpse of my geographical location. Next slide, Michelle. And you now know how old I am. This is where I grew up. Honestly, a perfectly middle-class, ticky-tacky box, suburban environment. Design was the furthest thing from my imagination, other than I did know to wear a pink Angora sweater to the birthday party. I was so fortunate to run feral through the streets of Rio Terrace in Edmonton and start partying from an early age. Next slide, Michelle. This actually is the reason I got into interior design in the first place. So having gone through high school, honestly, I was going to end up in geology because Calgary's renowned for its oil and gas energy industry. But I so loved to paint and draw and sketch. And I encountered a person who I worked with, and he said, you know, you should really take interior design at the University of Manitoba. And I looked at the calendar, back then it was paper, and I noticed that it offered watercolor courses. I thought, I'm in. And I love art, but I also love science. I love math. And for me, interior design was the perfect blending of the two of them. One other thing I want to just say as well is that I just noticed that there's a quote in the upper left-hand corner of that sketch there. If life is worth living, it is so in order that man may behold beauty. And I thought I would just pull this out only because it has been a little bit of my research in the last little while. So a little bit of a segue as well. So just some of my sketches as I travel. Next slide, Michelle. So here you go. This is 60 years. This is a glimpse of each decade. I grew up as a competitive swimmer. So I was certainly entranced with Katie Ledecky and Summer McIntosh, if anybody follows the Summer Olympics at all. And love that, but it sure taught me a lot about, working hard, getting through those brick walls, that sort of thing. The top photos, by the way, are my passport images, just because I so believe in the power of travel. So then I went to design school and had a blast. It was probably the best thing I could have done, and I just loved every single second of it. In my 30s, I was so fortunate. I actually went to, I started teaching. After a couple of years in the industry, I was offered a position at Mount Royal University and began to teach. In my 40s, I went off and did my master's in visual communication design. It's another area that I love: typography, graphic design, the whole bit. And then I broke away from that, and there's a story behind that. And in my 50s, I went back into the design industry, if you can believe it. I gave up a tenured, pensioned position and just cracked open the, you call it bumwad, I call it tracing paper, and just started to design. And now in my 60s, it really is a time to give back and to share. And just a subtle little thing in this little graphic here. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the happiness curve. It's something that I'm quite interested in as it relates to things such as love and awe and beauty. And that is apparently at age 47.2, we are at our lowest ebb of happiness. And we can get into that over a glass of wine at the award ceremony, but it also starts to swing upward. And I will say that life has never, ever been better. So it's time to give back. Right, next slide, Michelle. So yes, here we are at Mount Royal University, 20 years spending teaching, chairing that department, and moving it from a 2-year program to a Bachelor of Interior Design program. I have so much passion for teaching and love of my students, and I just learn always so much from them. Anyway, that's a little bit, the time of my life that seems like a blur. But then I left teaching, that's the next slide, Michelle, and got into design. I actually literally had to open up my own business. Recognized at that point, I was very, very fortunate. I was able to work on a lot of very, very, very high-end luxurious homes. And I will say I really learned a craft of interior design in residential design. The detailing and all of the coordination of many vendors, many trades was quite extraordinary. I then made a leap back into commercial design, which I was very familiar with. And that was the whole idea about becoming more involved with our professional association. So began with Sives and Devons. They were colleagues at one time in my previous design career. And now I came to Stantec. And I will just say at this point, I absolutely love where I work. And I say I'm surrounded by the most important thing: fun, kind, and smart people. So I've just really, really appreciated working with there. And at Stantec, I do a lot. I've worked everywhere, but it's so much fun to work in post-secondary right now, just because I know the jargon, I know that world. But also in terms of, you'll see some of the projects here, but some commercial workplace, that sort of thing. So next slide, Michelle. Just a few of these slides, we can maybe blast through these. This is a lovely residence I was involved in. ATCO Commercial Center, you can see Calgary downtown in the rendering to the, up in the image. This was so much fun putting together all kinds of different aspects of this project. There might be a few renderings of this. Yeah, beautiful center. Bricard Chilton was the architect. And so this was basically bringing all of the interior design together. The first residence that you saw was actually, she owns that company. So that was how that link came to be. And most excited to be involved in this most recent project. We just cut the ribbon on this one. It's called the BMO Center. It's a convention center. We worked with Populous. So I co-led the interiors throughout this project. It was a 4-year project, worked over Zoom due to COVID. Yeah, we started designing right actually when COVID happened, and we carried it off. So this has only been open for 2 months, and to great acclaim. And a few of the renderings, a few of the things. Oh yeah, love. This is, showing off the finishes as well, just being on site, which is part of the job that I just absolutely love. Next slide, Michelle. And then just some of the renderings of it. Working with Populous was a dream. They know so much about these kinds of centers where people gather. The top left is Canada's world's tallest fireplace. To the right is a big, beautiful ballroom, and we're taking it with the Western spirit that Calgary offers, and then some of the meeting spaces as well. And then now a whole different project, and a refurbishment of a 40-year-old building in downtown Calgary with a floor plate of 85,000 square feet, where we needed to refurbish it to attract some of those tenants back into the downtown core, including conference amenities, a tenant lounge, and then just really upping it. We took it from a 1990s slate and heavy wood and stuff. So it's now bright and beautiful. What I'm really excited about is our chain sculpture feature. It's on the bottom left-hand side slide, and it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. This will be open in November, so. Then our next slide is another tenant amenity refresh. This just opened about a week ago, and we took an old bank building, these good old 1980s buildings that offer such fantastic volume. This is the tenant lounge, and then the next slide will show, oh, this is something different. Just finishing up an esports arena. So this is now some post-secondary stuff. So this was a world I didn't know 270 days ago. I had no idea what an esports gaming was all about, but now I do. Next slide, Michelle. I think oh yes, here's the wonderful team that I work with in Calgary at Stantec. There's a few folks missing here, but this is why I come to work, are these wonderful people. So I had 3 sayings in life. This is my mission statement. It is to get a good night's sleep. It just means that I had a really great day. I fulfilled my promises. I didn't overindulge. I lived well. Ski with people better than you. I always love being around people who are way smarter than me, and live like a traveler. And I travel light. I like to stay curious, open, and ready for adventure. So that's me, Jackie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. I did not know that the, did you say the tallest fireplace in Canada was a
Yeah.
thing? And I like random facts. Like, I just think that's super fun. So that's awesome. I'm gonna have to see if they have that for like other countries, but that's just a cool little statistic to have. I like it.
Thanks, Michelle.
Oops, sorry, I clicked the wrong way. What did I do? All right, so I'm so sorry. Jeez. I should not be in charge of these things. How do I go back? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys.
While you're adjusting the slides, Jackie, my next door neighbor, is from Edmonton and grew up in Edmonton. So I've been hearing all about it over the last year that they've just moved in next door to us.
Oh, that's fantastic, Joe. That's great. I wonder if we played in the streets of Rio Terrace, although he's only slightly younger than I am.
But I think they just lost the cup last year, right? Like they
I
made
know.
it to the. I know, that was so heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, John. I think I just ruined your whole. I gave away some of your slides. I did not mean to. I apologize.
It's totally fine.
We're gonna show off how technology is my friend until I'm in a room full of 100+ people, and then it's not.
It's all of us.
At least it'll be memorable. So yes. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce John. He is a strategy lead with Gensler in Atlanta, with work ranging from large to small and contributions across several internal and external creative teams, spanning 18 years of brand strategy. Brand strategy, creative direction, product design, events and exhibitions, interiors, and architecture. Further works and words can be seen in publications such as Interior Design, Fast Company, Design, and GBNC magazine, and awards from every major media and design publication in North America. So I think you're definitely better at technology than I am. John has served on the advisory board for the Building Arts Department for Savannah College of Art and Design, as well as served as the Sustainable Design Advisor for the Georgia chapter of IIDA, and the chair of the 2008-2009 Trash to Treasure Art Auction, supporting public art for the Atlanta Beltline. That's really cool. So I will start your presentation the correct way this time.
Oh, Thanks for that intro. And I just want to echo all of Jackie's words opening before about appreciating all the sort of hard work that goes into all the submissions and for this team for organizing. And one thing just sort of really quickly, I just sort of have on here, you can call me JC, like there are a lot of Johns, and sometimes it's just easier. This sort of has become the unofficial nickname that I have, usually from place to place. So you refer to me, I think that's sort of like definitely okay to just call me, not just another John. And one thing I'll sort of mention around just sort of like approach to vision, I sort of have this mantra that I call values over vision. That is something that I've sort of like grown to adapt as a part of my career and journey. I think as I've done quite a few different things over the last 20 years. And, you know, definitely if any of you have read the book called Range, it's a really great book that sort of talks about the sort of diversification of skill sets and opportunities and experiences. And I think that's something that definitely has sort of led me to kind of adapting that mantra. We can advance through, and I'll go through these slides really quickly. Here's just sort of like a simple graph around where I've spent and grown up my time, bouncing back and forth, starting in Alabama, where I was sort of born, and bouncing back and forth between Alabama and Tennessee, all throughout high school and even my first couple of years of college. And I was sort of a late bloomer to design. So I didn't really get into design until down when I moved to New York and went to school in New York, and then also in Savannah at SCAD. And then I've been spending the last 20 years in Atlanta practicing. So it's, you know, so much of this time has been spent in Atlanta, but these other years are so formative, you know, just sort of like your approach and then growing up in a sort of blue collar household of not having a lot of exposure to design or the arts. I think this is sort of a way to sort of showcase how I've moved in different places and where I am today. And then the next slide, and I think, you know, in terms of like passions, I really have like, you know, going back to like my time in New York and having exposure more to the arts, I would say like I have this sort of 50-50 split of loving and you know, as was introduced earlier, I am a strategy lead for strategy practice here in Atlanta. And I really get to use sort of both hemispheres or both halves of the brain. One sort of about, you know, dedicated to my passion and love for art. I remember the Torque Spirals exhibition in New York that was up in the late 90s by Richard Serra. It was one of the most pivotal, transformative experiences or moments for me about the sort of effect that art can have on, you know, how we feel. And I sort of always take that with me and remember that there's both an art and science to what we do, you know, even today, and love sort of thinking about those. And, you know, I have a super deep passion on my nerdy side for things like black holes and the space and universe. So I remember when this M87 photo was taken like 5 or so years ago, I was just like struck. So these are just like, you know, the different kinds of range of things that I get really inspired and moved by. And then from a career, the last 20 years here of work have been shaped up here in this little timeline. Like I started my career and profession at HOK and spent a little time at PNW, moved back to HOK, came to Gensler about 10 years ago, left for a little bit to go to Shaw Contract, and then came back to Gensler where I've been for the last few years. And my experiences largely at HOK were, you know, both primarily workplace focused, but I did have an opportunity to do a lot of product design while I was there, both for Mohawk and for Steelcase for a couple of products that were launched, and had also been doing some work that I'll showcase in a minute around creative direction for, you know, back before influencers were kind of such a known thing. Like I had a pretty large Pinterest following, so I was doing, you know, content creation and content for brands on the side as a part of that too. And then brought that into, you know, my time at Gensler, where again, I've been primarily focused on projects and workplace. And then also, as I mentioned, my time at Shaw Contract, we were doing a headquarters at that time for what is now the Create Center. And Neely, I'm not sure if Neely's on the call, but she's the Shaw Contract rep who connected me with your chapter, who sort of suggested to sort of be on the panel. So I just want to say hello to her if she's on. But and so I was designing the headquarters with a team here at Gensler, and then went to Shaw Contract to lead the brand and creative direction for the rebrand. And I'll share a little bit about that work later. So kind of expanded again in the sort of broader creative direction and brand strategy. And then came back to Gensler to lead the strategy practice and co-direct the workplace studio here in our Atlanta office. And in the next slide, and then just a few like highlights of projects. Everybody looks at like pretty pictures basically. So I think a couple, at my time at HOK, one of the, time I spent a few years on and a pretty transformational project was the headquarters for Porsche North America, which is based here down by the Atlanta airport. And so we submitted a design competition, and you kind of see the racetrack, the part of the experience center out as an extension of the building. And actually the planes at the Atlanta airport like fly and land right over because the runway ends where the property ends. So it was a super cool experience to sort of see the cars and the planes flying by. And we actually ran the track through the heart of the building. And that's kind of like this top middle image where we sort of have, experience, basically from the outside in as this like, relationship between interiors and architecture. This was this was amazing project, an amazing team and great company and brand and client to work with to bring this, to life and part of my time at HOK. And then on the next slide, I had mentioned some product design. So there's a product called Victor 2 that we worked on about 10 years ago now, which was, I'm not sure if any of you have specified it or seen it through Steelcase, but we sort of came up with this idea, and it actually was an idea for beautifying recycling containers because they were quite utilitarian, and there was a demand for better design products. And so it actually coincided with Steelcase's 100th anniversary for the company, because Steelcase started making steel waste paper containers because people were catching office buildings on fire by flicking out their cigarette into, these paper waste containers in the, back in the day. And so anyway, that's a fun fact if you didn't know that about Steelcase. And so I had worked on this product with them for a little bit early in my career at HOK as well. And then I had mentioned some of the stuff around the Pinterest and content creation. So photography and staging and styling, like these, my wife and I all shot together. So we were doing this freelance with a company called Hello Society, which is known by the New York Times now. And so we would be, some of these were for brands like Wild Turkey or Bacardi or, Fossil or, several other brands that they would sort of have these sort of mini photo shoots that we would post and have a little bit more authentic content than ad agencies would produce. So that was a really fun sort of side hustle for a while. That sort of opened up the sort of larger creative direction and storytelling, sort of beyond space and into advertising and media. And then on the subsequent slide, and then another project, which was great, like adaptive reuse project here in Atlanta for an ad agency called Fitzville Momentum and Weber Chanwick. And so we can just flip through these. It's just sort of images around exterior transformation and interior transformation of an old slaughterhouse building that was converted to a creative agency studio space. And so, just really sort of bringing forward the opportunities to sort of transform existing spaces have been really, really fun and really amazing clients to work with and bring their visions to life. And then this was the project that I had mentioned right before leaving Gensler and going to Shaw was the Create Center. So this is where all of product design and R&D is done for Shaw Contract and Packcraft. So this was the building we were working on, and my last week at Gensler was the design development presentation, and the next week I was like the client. So it was sort of like pitching to yourself essentially an idea. So it was a great time to also be on both sides and to also see the transformation of people working in the building who were located in the little plant, sort of sampling plant building behind this, and to be a part of that move and to be a part of their journey to inhabit it. Can be really humbling to both design something that then other people get to live in and you work with them on day in and day out. And then the next slide is the time at Shaw contract. So I mentioned that earlier around, you know, that was a really amazing and fun few years to both rebrand the company and have a team that sort of worked on new creative direction for the new logo that you sort of saw earlier in the presentation. It was good to see they were a diamond sponsor, I think, for the chapter. So great representation. And then so that went into collection, photo shoots, all the sort of showrooms, all the creative direction for the company sort of rolled out to our team there in Cartersville, and was super, super fun to sort of work on this side of the business and on the product, continue to work through product design as well. And yeah, so last slide here is, like I mentioned, values over vision. Like, because I've really been open to trying, I think, all of these opportunities, I have sort of learned that I find the most happiness sort of, you know, Jack, you sort of mentioned a little bit of this in your mantra, like, you know, having adaptable beliefs and welcoming each day's potential. I think, you know, sometimes people have a very clear idea of where their career and where their vision is going. And I think I've been more to say, these are the values I think are really important to me. And I won't worry about where I'm going to be at, where my goals are next year or the year after, just sort of living by sort of more these surprising influences is my sort of personal mantra. So thank you all for spending all that time listening to what I thought was going to be really fast.
Thank you. So I think we could like call you like an original influencer. Like, I think if what you did for Pinterest and everything existed before what we all know as influencers today, you're like the OG, right?
Sure. I don't know whether that's a compliment but yeah, it was fine.
I think, yeah, I think it's a compliment. You created a new position. I do have to ask, so on your initial slide with kind of the timeline, how did you choose what photo you used in like each of the slots? It was really interesting to see like what photo was selected.
Yeah. What were the photos I even used? So I have my childhood photo for growing up, and then some of it was like, you know, I just remember like the time in Tennessee was very back and forth, I mean, both of them were very small towns. Alabama was a little bit more rural on a farm, and the Tennessee time, there's like a little community square. So those are sort of signatures of those places that I remember them by. I think that's probably why I chose those images, is more how it felt or how it made me feel or how I remember it by.
Very awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So last but not least, I'd like to introduce Sarah. She is the owner and creative director of Chicago-based interior design studio Couture. With a no-fuss rules approach to design, she has built an award-winning boutique studio. Since 2016, under Sarah's design direction, Couture has designed for what's next, creating custom and unique spaces for each client and market. Couture's global work can be found in offices, homes, and restaurants in Austin, Amsterdam, London, Miami, New York, Phoenix, Silicon Valley, and Singapore. Sarah believes that the best projects are created by being allowed to believe anything is possible and finding inspiration in the least expected places. Welcome, Sarah, and thank you.
Thank you. I'm seeing from John's slide deck that I think are about the same place in our career, starting in 2005, which means that we're both probably coming up on Jackie's 47th year of the least happiest you'll ever be in your life. So we have that to look forward to. Thank you very much. Almost there. Wonderful. You can go to the next slide. So I'm Sarah. I actually started my career working in an interior design studio, which is how I know Megan, your chapter president. She was an intern there. So thank you for inviting me to be a judge. I have only a few slides here because I'm a business owner and I've got negative 10 hours in every day, as Jackie probably knows as well. So I'm doing a lot of talking along with these slides. I actually grew up in a very small town, a town of 1,000 people in Michigan, and came to Chicago in 2002, shortly after everything was kind of going down with 9/11, which is a really crazy time. But realized that I loved big cities. I loved being kind of part of the hustle and the design of a big city. and came to Chicago to pursue an education in interior design. I worked at a large architecture firm at Perkins and Will for 11 years before deciding to start Kuchar. So the studio I have today is 8.5 years in. This photo you see here is of my team. We're 11 people, mostly female-based studio. And I really worked really hard to create this studio that is everything that I would want in a place that I work at. Was really the impetus for leaving. I really wanted a really creative energy in a studio. I really wanted a place that I could feel like I could really be comfortable and not have too many egos around. So just really wanted to create this, what felt like that most hyper creative space to work. And that was a big reason for starting Kuchar and really what we've created today. We're women owned. I am the sole owner. We work in all different types of markets. We're very concept driven. I can go to the next slide. A little bit about me. So I went to school at Harrington College of Design in Chicago, which sadly no longer exists, but it was the standalone interior design studio that a lot of people in Chicago went to and created such a great community. I founded the studio in 2016. And this page is just a smattering of some of my inspiration as of late. I would say I get my biggest inspiration from travel. I love to travel. Fortunate now with my kind of flex schedule as a owner to be able to do that as much as I can. And I think what I love the most is really going to places and seeing how they do things so much more differently than us, learning from different cultures and kind of seeing what their norms are and how they're different from ours and how do we change what we do and get inspired by what they do, or their materials, their colors, their methods, and bring that back. So I'm constantly taking photos and sending it back to the studio and working constantly communicating that way of like, oh, check out what someone else did here. I would say my biggest source of inspiration. I also love I love food, and I love going to these experiential dinners that are just like mind blowing to me and getting inspired by what these chefs create. You know, they think like we think. They're thinking of colors and textures and how all these things come together, but then they have this layer of taste and flavor and how that also becomes part of it, which is not anything like what we do and from a flavor standpoint. So I love going and getting inspired by their own creativity. You know, what we do, what we create lasts for years, and theirs is like minutes. So I think it's just like it's such an interesting kind of design adjacent industry to be inspired by. And then lastly, um, nature is like my getaway, my inspiration, and also my escape. I have a very tiny little backyard in Chicago, and I take advantage of it every second I can to just unplug, get away from the strategic thinking, and go weed in the garden or plant a flower or pick a thing of basil or whatever. It's like totally different from the workday, and I love that escape, and I love getting outside. And go to the next slide. So a little bit about Kuchar, if you're not familiar with us. One of my big goals with starting this studio was to create a space that does all types of design. When I was in my previous employer, I focused mostly on workplace and had some opportunity to do some other interesting types of design, but I really wanted to have a studio that did really cool residences or would pivot into a restaurant, also did corporate interiors, and it's something I really, really pushed to try to get us into all these different markets and try to make it work. And so it is really kind of successful in what we've been able to create as of today. So what you're seeing up here is kind of a smattering of some of our work. One of our big markets, I will say, is showrooms. So if you've been to NeoCon, you've probably walked through one of our projects. This year, we won Best Showroom Design for the Darien showroom. And what you're seeing in the upper left is the Nevin showroom, which also got a lot of great press. We've done workplace projects, as mentioned in my bio. We've done workplace we just finished a project in Amsterdam, one in London. Been extremely fortunate to find clients who will send us to those places and let us design for them. So we take full advantage of that. We've got some great wellness projects. We're currently working on an amazing salon and spa in Chicago that should be hitting the Instagram airwaves sometime next year. Private residence is a tricky one, I would say. Some of you may or may not know, it's a totally different ballgame from corporate interiors or anything commercial, but we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to make it part of the practice, and we're trying to find those Midwest, clients who want something interesting and colorful. So that I would say is the challenge we have here, but we're working on it. And we love exploring with some of those fun residential finishes that we don't get to do in commercial projects. We've done some great restaurants here, some retail projects, and multifamily student living. So really a mix of types, but I would say in all of these, we're always just trying to push our clients to be creative, stand out, and really, push them outside of the norms in everything that we do. Next slide. So I would say in everything that we do is always kind of rooted in concept, which I know is pretty common for a lot of us, but I would say it is very front of mind for all of our projects. So we really push for this, the concept at the beginning to be really your guide to take you in any part of this universe that it goes, and let it really guide you and not hinder you. It should be something that allows you to kind of dream up whatever possibilities there are for this concept. So we really push this idea of concept creation, and then use that to guide every decision you make, and stick to it, and push it. So in all of our projects, we're always trying to make them adhere to that concept while being very different from something perhaps you've seen before. Push the studio a lot to not use the same products we've used and the same products they've seen. Really try to push for the unique, the standout, and trend forward. We're definitely not your timeless design studio, I will admit. We like to have a lot more fun and really kind of focus, I would say, on the experience and crafting experience through everything that we do. So some of the projects you see here are showrooms we've designed, education spaces, some private residences. The top right image is our office, and a couple other kind of offices as well centered in here. You can go to the last slide. So lastly, my design philosophy is no rules. I truly believe that if we kind of break away from everything everyone's told us before, it allows us to think more freely and just explore. So I really push the team, especially when people come in from other places, to just shed those rules that you've been kind of adhering to, and explore everything, leave no stone unturned. So, don't let any common piece of design, don't let anything kind of become common, I guess. So can a cabinet be round instead of square? Like just what can be different? Every little piece of design can be something different. You can use a material in a different way, or you can shape, whatever you're doing in a different way that we've seen. I hear a lot in our studio sort of, would it be crazy, or this might be a weird idea. And it's like, I just love those, like throw it at the wall, see what sticks. We can always say no. The client can always say no, but we got to try, without kind of throwing out the crazy ideas, we're not going to progress forward. So we really push a studio and a culture that is open to all ideas from everybody. And we love it when the crazy ones come forward. So here you see just a mix of some of our projects, including showrooms, a retail store in Chicago, and some corporate offices as well. And lastly, I'd like to just close and say I'm super excited to see all of the projects that you all submit. Submit as many as you can, because I love seeing them. I can't wait to get inspired by everything that we get to go through. And again, very inspiring for me to see all your work. So I'm very excited to dig in and see what you guys all submit. Thank you.
Thank you. So within your showroom design, do you have either a favorite showroom that you've ever done, or a favorite product type to do a showroom for?
I would never say what my favorite is, because they're all my favorite children and clients. No, I mean, they're all fun to dig into. I think one of the coolest things is we get to learn. I'm sure John, went through this with Shaw. You get to really learn so much about somebody's product, more than you knew before. All their products by heart, all their names, all their offerings. So no, I wouldn't say there's a type. you know, flooring's tough because it's all on the ground and there's not much to see kind of right in front of you. But no, we love digging into them all. We like seeing what comes our way.
Sarah, did I see the Hightower showroom in there? Did you do the Hightower showroom?
We did not do Hightower, no.
Oh, okay, okay. I just
Scandinavian
looked.
Spaces, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, it looked familiar for a second. I didn't know if that was recognized more now.
Not one of ours, but a good one.
For sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
Great.
all. I'm gonna click over here. I know we might be coming, some people might have to jump off, so I'm just gonna put the dates up here again as a reminder. Here is your QR code for the IDCEC credit. So get your app out and you can scan that. If you have any questions, I know sometimes when a whole bunch of people are trying to scan the app at the same time, it takes a little bit of time. But if you have any follow-up questions or you need any help with that, let me know. I am going to thank Jackie, John, and Sarah again for joining us today. It's always super helpful to understand who the jury is that will be reviewing the projects. We really appreciate your willingness to take extra time in addition to when you will be reviewing the projects to join us today and share, you know, about yourselves with our group. Megan, did anything come through in the chat that we should address?
Shoot. We might have some issues with our QR code. Of course.
Of course.
If we do, if everyone's getting the inactive, we can send out a link to everybody who attended, and you guys can send us your IDCEC numbers. So we can follow up with everybody on that if we're all getting issues with that. There were a number of questions about locations of projects in terms of what's acceptable. So I did pull the wording from our submission packet regarding the direction. So on page 4, when you open the submission packet, it does address the sort of designed by and submitted by criteria. If you do have a like a project where maybe you were like an AOR or there's a split on scope, go ahead and send us the details. And we can review your the situation and just make sure we feel like it's in compliance with our goals and objectives. But the idea is that the firms, the people doing the work are located here in our chapter, but you know, we obviously, most of us have projects that are all over the country or all over the world. So you can absolutely submit projects that aren't built in Ohio and Kentucky, but they do need to be designed by those that are living and practicing within the boundary of our chapter.
And this is a good time to also remind you that one of the requirements is that your lead designer is supposed to be an IIDA member. So if you have projects that you want to submit and your designers on these projects are not IIDA members, now is a great time to sign up as an IIDA member. If you sign up right now, chapter has kind of expanded the new member, so you would get the rest of this year and then all of 2025. So these projects are supposed to be, you know, submitted by an IIDA member from Ohio, Kentucky.
All right, yeah, and we will definitely, for those that followed up inactive, we can send out we'll send out like a Google Forms, and you can send us your name and your IDCEC number, and we can get those submitted on your behalf if you're having issues. And with that, I think that pretty much covers the bulk of the questions, but I would say yes, absolutely. If you have any questions about your circumstances, whether your project applies or not, just email Michelle and we'll discuss and get back with you guys on a case-by-case basis. Other than that,
Okay, since the IDCEC thing might be having an issue, I'm just going to click over real quick. For those who want to travel to Cincinnati for the for our event, we hope that you will all travel, but here are some hotel information. We've got blocks at these hotels, so you can book your travel early. All of this can be found on the website, so just kind of a little plug for getting your hotel looked sooner rather than later.
All right, and then the last piece, we had promised that we would share. We had a competition this summer for people to submit fun and exciting t-shirt ideas that speak to advocating for the design profession. We've actually started a new, we have a new swag shop, so you can go online and buy all sorts of IIDA Ohio Kentucky swag through our website. If you go to advocacy, there's a tab at the header of the website. Right underneath it is our swag shop. But we wanted to announce that our first place winner for t-shirt design was Miss Bethany Williams. And our second place winner was Carolyn Silva. So we will actually be turning both of these ideas into t-shirt designs to be purchased on our website. And I believe Bethany will be receiving a small monetary prize, and they both get tickets actually to attend Design Award. So we just thought this was a nice opportunity while we had a bunch of people joining to share that exciting news. And with that, thank you guys, Sarah, John, Jackie. I think it's always so exciting and so inspiring to hear kind of your guys' point of view and your ethos. I think it's really helpful when thinking about how to tell the story of a project to kind of understand the point of view of the people who will be viewing them. So thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone. Good to see you all. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. And thank you all for joining our call, and we look forward to getting your submissions.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Good luck.